Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Batman Arkham Origins New Game Plus video walkthrough. This is post-royale to the GCPD Morgue, and this is my favourite fight in the game. You get to fight as Joker, and it's at a comedy club, and he's fighting the audience, which I think is kind of a funny idea. And every animation that this character has is just fun, and it's interesting. I had a lot of fun with this fight. I really hope you unlock him in the challenge modes, because he's just cool to players. And he's really overpowered too. He's so much better than Batman. Like, his evade over people is so quick, and it literally stuns them. It's like the cape and the jump at the same time. It's awesome. I really like that fight. This I don't like as much, because I don't get it. I think that this is probably an homage to something from a comic. Like, I don't get why he's wearing the red helmet thing. He looks like Magneto. I don't understand the metaphor here, or the symbolism that they're using. So to me, it's just walking through exposition while we listen to how the Joker woos Harley Quinn and breaks out of the prison that we've sent him to. And you can't do anything on this section, really. There's nothing to do. You can't even take damage, it seems, from the fire. It's just there to make it more interesting than it is. Like, you can punch, you can't run, but you can crouch. So you'll notice all I do is this ridiculous kind of like Tweety Bird bob, where I'm mashing the crouch button. And sometimes it seems like I'm walking faster because I'm doing it, but I don't think I actually am. It's just the second time round these bits completely lose any value. Because as much as they're a nice distraction the first time, the second time they're just a barrier to progress. There's something stopping you from getting to, you know, where you want to be. And I don't really understand them. And once you do this section, this really confusing expositional dump of just madness, you do one with Batman, which... The Batman one I could understand more because it gives you an impression of the character. It gives you some backstory that everybody knows. This one just seems stupid, for lack of a better word. But here comes the Batman one. And it's really funny because I tell you what it reminds me of in a super obnoxious and almost, you know, fan-fictionally gay way is... Do you know when two people meet each other for the first time in a film? I think this happens in Greece. And when they're away from each other, they start singing, musical style, and thinking about that other person, and they're all conflicted, and they don't know what's happening because they've never been in love, and you see it from both sides, and it's almost what we just witnessed then. There's a side of the Joker confused and in love, and then there's a side of Batman confused and concerned, and it's just this really weird, just parody of that. And I'm hoping that that's just me being weird, but that's what it looked like to me. So dumb. But back to the game, thank God. We get the glue grenade, which is another one of my favourite weapons. It's the frost grenade. Let's just call a spade here, guys. There's nothing new about this weapon. It's copy-pasted from Arkham City, but instead of covering people in ice, it covers them in jizz. And it's just... so much fun to have wordplay with the load bomb, you know, just tossing loads left, right and centre. But I'm going to try and refrain from the childish nature, even though I said I would indulge it, and I just kind of did. But the cool thing about this new tool is, whoever you do not like in a crowd, jizz on him. When you jizz on him, he can't move, he can't do anything, and it seems to hold them indefinitely. I don't know how long it lasts, but it seems to last forever. So it's a really useful way of immobilizing an enemy you do not like and controlling a crowd. Something to bear in mind with it, regardless of what you do to a person who's covered in the jizz, it'll knock them over. So don't ruin your combo by mistakenly thinking you can go into a beatdown on them or you can do something more exotic. A really good strategy that I found is throw a boomerang at them, throw a batarang, sorry, or something of that nature, because it'll just get rid of them and you won't need to go over to them. But this sequence here, if you drop down like I did and you rush into this room, you'll completely alleviate the need to fight any of the snipers or anybody outside, and the only people left to fight is this big group of dudes in here. And obviously you want to get rid of the guys with the guns first. Guys with the guns, big no-no, they ruin the flow of combat. I have no idea why Batman is so nimble and quick when he has a multiplier, but as soon as he loses it, he suddenly turns into this old age pensioner with arthritis that cannot be asked to move. It's just such a strange trope that this game is, and the games before it, relied on. I don't know. I really think the combat in this game is interesting, but it needs to evolve to the next level, and I have no idea what that next level is, and I trust the people who are thinking about that right now, because a lot of people have been talking about what they think the next logical step in these games is. You know, after some of the reviews have definitely pointed quite harshly at the game as being, you know, kind of average, kind of been there, done that, kind of Arkham City 2.5. And while I think that those are kind of harsh criticisms, especially in this Assassin's Creed obsessed world we live in, Call of Duty obsessed world we live in, you know, whatever franchise that you're quite disenfranchised by at this moment in time that's annualized, insert it here. I mean, who's still buying Madden? Like, how fucking interesting can Madden be for them to be so many games? It just makes no sense. Like, I love UFC, but I don't buy every UFC game, because after the first two, like, that was it, really. It was just roster changes in the same fucking game. You know, there's nothing new there. I don't care that you've made the characters sweat more. Sweating was never something that really affected gameplay. It should, but how the hell do you program that? That's, you know, a question for somebody much more technically minded than I am. But I personally think that Rocksteady are working on the next Batman thing. And I would really like for it to be super cartoony looking, maybe cel-shaded-esque, and look exactly like the animated series, where everybody has a torso the size of a wardrobe, and everybody drives those ridiculous cars with the, you know, really unrealistic spotlights on them. I would love that. You know, everything is black and noir-y and like 1940s, you know, Bioshocky-y, wherever that kind of visual art deco is. I'm not really good on my architecture. But just that look, I think that is a fantastic look, and I think that'd be a really good direction. As far as the gameplay, I really don't know what they can do. I think it'll be very difficult. What I don't want them to do, which I surmise they might, is turn it into an open world game, like, you know, City of Heroes or Saints Row, something of that nature, where they take this notion of being Batman, but they blow it up to its maximum potential of, here is a fully functioning city that is Grand Theft Auto in its delivery, where the quests are all over the place and they're in such a way and so detailed that there's a ton of them. Because I think we can all agree this kind of sandbox that they've given you here is the tip of the iceberg in the grand scheme of sandboxes. This is the Mafia 2 or the LA Noire of the Grand Theft Auto sandbox. And I really think they're going to put a massive swing on it, and you're going to literally have every single villain that's ever appeared in Batman, or very close to it, who has his own, you know, campaign-length amount of missions to defeat. And I don't think that'd be a bad thing. That's not what I want for the series, because when you blow it up to that proportion and you have all that complexity, the small things suffer. You know, the nuance suffers. Something to mention here as well, guys. In the earlier videos, I said there was no critical modifier. There is the critical modifier upgrade, but it's hidden. It wasn't, you know, I didn't see it. It wasn't, I didn't read it. It's literally hidden. I have one cube in the top right, which I don't know what the hell it is. But I know what it is because people have told me that it's this critical modifier. And it's the only thing, I have no idea what it is, because it says, do the most wanted something something, and it will unlock this upgrade. And I know it's associated with Bird, whoever that is. I'm not familiar with the character at all. But if you do his missions, you will unlock that ability. My favourite ability in these games. Which, again, I'll reiterate, I think it's disgusting that they've hidden something so crucial and fun behind, essentially, content that nobody has to do, and most folks probably won't. Which is always a shame as a game developer, I suppose. They put these prizes behind these distractions so that people have an incentive to do them. So I understand why it exists, I just don't agree with it when it's something so pivotal to the combat. But as I was saying, folks, about losing the nuance and losing, you know, other parts of the game suffering because of the grander scope, a good example would be Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably, arguably, technically, the finest sandbox game ever made. Regardless of your tastes, regardless of what you feel about it, it is. Because it's a marvel of ingenuity, of game design. It really is. But at the same time, there is so much in it that none of the particular disciplines ever shine as high as a game that's focused on that discipline. So the hand-to-hand combat will never feel as good as the hand-to-hand combat in an action game. The shooting will improve, but it'll never feel as good as the shooting in a shooting game. You get where I'm going with this. There's so much in them that there are sacrifices made in the fidelity. And another example of this on the other side is something like Devil May Cry. If you've ever wondered why Devil May Cry has incredibly small rooms, they're generally a linear sequence, there's not that much exploration off the beaten path, and there's generally not, the massive environments for the sake of massive environments, there's a really good reason for this. It's because the focus is not on that. The focus is on the combat, on the balance, on the nuance, on everything functioning and working as fluidly and as satisfying as it can be. And that's exactly what they do. And they establish that by having these smaller environments, by having the focus be on the fighting itself. Like a beat-em-up. A beat-em-up is all in the numbers. It's all in the combat. It's got nothing to do with the fancy background, because the fancy background is essentially just a fucking Microsoft screensaver for fighting. That's all it is. The background is not affecting the gameplay at all. It has no purpose there. And that is very similar, only not quite to the same extent, in something like those character-driven action games, because their focus is solely on just the pursuit of that perfect combat. And don't get me wrong, they too have problems, but the reason you haven't seen such finely tuned and amazing combat systems in games as big as Skyrim is because either the technology doesn't exist or the ambition to make that game hasn't, and hopefully will soon exist, but at this moment in time it doesn't, because that thought has not been put forward. And if it has, and if it's come to light, the combat's probably been kinda lacking, because it's that compromise once again. You can't seem to have that precision when you're focusing in so many different areas. But this fight here's got a couple of Bane's henchmen. You can tell them a mile off because they're Puerto Rican. Yeah, I'm only kidding. I don't know what the hell they are. They've got the green pipes going in them. They've got the crazy masks on that the Mexican wrestlers use, and that's about all you need to know about them. They take a bigger beating than the standard stuff, and they can grab you. Everything else is just business as usual. Oh, there's the grab. And did you notice that it gave me the prompt to escape even though on New Game Plus the prompts are turned off? I noticed this in some of the cutscenes too. At the end of the game, when you're fighting a certain character, it gives you the prompts on how to defend against him, which, if you remember Arkham City did not give you prompts. Like, you would have been sat in that chair for 20 hours if you'd have not figured out that you're supposed to move. The Arkham City would have been the equivalent of an extremely boring, director's cut of Shawshank Redemption where Tim Robbins never leaves his cell. But I believe that's the end of the video, guys, so thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, you take care now.